Hello, welcome. I'm Hannah, and I literally just got in my Terra Moons order like 5 minutes ago. I'm so excited to smear it all over my eyes, aka I swatch it for you right now. I had picked out 6 shades from their latest launch. I got Halleys Comet, Milky Way, Enceladus, Pollux, Winter Sun, and Pistol Star. When it came to this launch, it seems like there was a lot of newer formulas or very flaky formulas that I wasn't so sure about. And full transparency, if I wasn't buying them for a video, I would have held off and waited to see what kind of stands out once everyone gets their orders in. That is kind of what I tended to do with Terra Moons a lot of the times in the past, but I made a decision earlier this year that when Terra Moons has a launch, I will pick out a couple and I swatch them for my channel. And because I have this channel, I'm so excited to be able to do this, but I just wanted to let you know that to me, this wasn't like a I'm so sure of it, run out and grab it the second it drops kind of release. But I am very, very curious and very excited. These were the 6 I was most excited about, so that's how I ended up with these 6. So without further ado, let's zoom in and try these out. I think I'm just going to start with the one that I'm most excited about, and Terra Moons actually posted that this was their best seller, so it seems like a lot of other people were excited about it also. The shade is Milky Way, and doesn't that just look so interesting? To me, this looks like a silvery gray, but it has like warm sparkle in it. It looks like it has a lot of like red and maybe some blue sparkles in there. I'm really curious. They said it was a similar formula to Celestial Cloudscape, which I don't have because that one seemed more like a satin shade with shimmer, but this seems more like a metallic shade with weird shimmer. It does feel very flaky and textured. When I put my finger in, you can see it like popping up in the pan. Yeah, it definitely is like a thicker formula going on. Wow, what a weird shade. I'm gonna add a little bit more on and just kind of try to like smooth it down. Huh. Yeah, this is the kind of shadow that's not my like typical color. If you watch my videos, you might know I love like mid-tone purpley and pinks and blues and stuff like that. This is definitely deeper than I like, but I love how weird it is. I think we've seen so much in indie makeup, but there's a lot of kind of overlap between the brands, and it's so cool to me when like especially Terra Moons finds a new way to do eyeshadow, and this looks really unique. And I think there are ways I could add it into a look that feel more me. I think I could use it as like the outer half of my lid shade and do something brighter on my inner half, but I do think this is really unique. Even in kind of harsh lighting, even with a ring light on my face, like you're seeing it with right now, you can see all those different color sparkles in there, and I think that's really cool. The next shadow I want to try out is Halleys Comet. This was one of the less expensive ones. Milky Way was originally $15. This was originally $8.50. I did use rewards points because I realized I have rewards points, which didn't come off of the most expensive ones, the ones that were $17.95, but it did come off of the cheaper ones. So, but either way, this was the least expensive shadow that I had in my order, but I felt like in all the swatches I saw, it looked so pretty, so pink, so blue, so shiny. I'm really excited. Feels nice and soft, but like, you know, it picks up, it has texture. Ooh, I love that. Wow. Wow, I love this. Yeah, I don't think I have any shadow quite like this in my collection. It almost reminds me of Licorice Lace from Looxi, which was just in their last collection, but a more like va-va-voom version. I would not have guessed this was one of the cheaper shadows from Terra Moons if I didn't know. That's so pretty and I really like it. Like Milky Way I respect, but like this is one that I'll be grabbing all the time. I forgot to mention before, I don't have any primer on or anything. I'll let you know if I ever do. My eyelids were pretty dry before. This time I wiped them off and then I just went over with my dirty foundation brush to try to like get away that wetness. It does look like Halleys Comet just from being on my lid for like 30 seconds or whatever. Did stain a little bit because it looks pink and there's no reason for my eye to be irritated this soon, so I think that means it stains, but staining's usually not that big of a deal for me. I do tend to wear makeup every day anyway, so if I have a little bit of staining, it gets covered up, but I always like to mention that in case it is a factor in purchasing for you. So the next shade I want to try out is Pollux. This one looked less like foily and like full intensity than other ones, but I really like the color of it. It's like a goldenrod yellow with like orangey red sparkles in there. This was one of the $15 shadows, so the same price as Milky Way, but I'm not expecting it to like pick up as much on my finger. Yeah, and I could definitely feel touching it. It's smoother in the pan, but it does pick up nicely. It's just not going to be those like foily flakes, you know, like a little bit more hard pressed. Huh. Yeah, it doesn't go on quite as smoothly as even Halleys Comet did. It is a nice, bright shadow. I'm going to add a little bit more on top of it. I think the way it looks on my eye is nice, but I don't like the experience of putting it on quite as much. And I think, you know, you can see that it's a yellow shadow with an orange sparkle, but I don't think it's quite as interesting as other shades they have. But I bet this will pick up nicely with the brush. I bet this will work nicely with like accents. I think it was in Bad to the Brows video that she used this like kind of like in the inner part of the crease to like line another shadow with, and I could see this working really well for a pop like that. I don't know if I really like looks though that are colorful and involve yellow. I feel like if I'm doing a yellow look, it's like a neutral yellow look and not like a yellow and pink or yellow and green look or something. I don't know. This is my least favorite so far, but it is how it seemed, which I think is good with Terra Moons, that they send out enough PR to creators on Instagram that I follow that I'm kind of able to get a sense for them before I get them in my hands. And a lot of the times when there's something I don't like about them, it confirms a suspicion that I already had based on seeing it a lot. So this is what I thought it would be, even though I think I was like looking for it to be more than I thought it would be. The next shade is Enceladus, which is a shadow that I was really going back and forth on whether or not I was going to get, and I ended up ultimately deciding to get it, clearly. But I do think it's funny because I like to play this game with my boyfriend whenever there's a release, where after I like make my purchase, I'll show him a picture of all the swatches and I'll be like, which ones do you think I got? And this is the first one he picked out. Like he's pretty good. He like looks for like the shiftiest ones, the weirdest ones, and you know, he's usually right. This is one of the $15 shadows, so the same price point as Pollux and Milky Way. I was interested in this because I thought it looked like maybe a more interesting Shattered Stars, which I like the look of, but I don't really like the formula of. And I also thought it looked like it could be a shiftier Divina Earthshine, but looking at it in the pan now, it does look a little bit more green than Earthshine. It has some nice texture when I pick it up. It kind of picks up similar to how Halleys Comet did, just like the right amount of texture picking up on my finger. Oh. I don't know if this is like either of the two I thought it would be like. It's a lot more sagey on my eye than I imagined. That's really pretty though. It looks like a sagey mint, and I can see the shift in there. I see it like going towards purple. I think at this angle, it does remind me of Shattered Stars, but better because it's brighter here. But I think straight on in the light, it's too bright to remind me of Shattered Stars, but like, that's okay. I like this one. I could see this being good also if you're someone who usually sticks with more neutral multi-chromes, maybe goes out into the kind of like mossy green. I feel like this is the next step up from the mossy green. It's not too intense both ways. It's kind of like a brighter color that flips to a duller color, but it's cute. I like this one a lot. Okay, we have two left, and these two are the biggest Wildcards. They looked so intensely flaky when I saw them in various swatches. And you know, as much as I like textured shadows, there is a limit, because if it's straight up flakes, it's hard to work with. I don't like using glitter glue, so I want it to stay put when I smooth it onto my finger, but I also don't want to have to baby it so much. So I'm really curious to see how these two perform, because they looked really pretty, but I know myself and I know that if they're too delicate, too specific, I just won't be reaching for them. Okay, so first up we have Pistol Star, which might have been the one I was most excited about because they described it in terms of the cosmos. I think they said it was a more like grayish version of the cosmos. I feel like they have a couple shadows that are like slightly different versions of the cosmos, and I love that. I love the cosmos, so if you tell me it's joining the family, I want it to join my family here at home. But looking at it, it looks like a quarter. Like it looks like a new shiny quarter that you look at the date of because you're like, man, that's gotta be new. I just can't believe how metallic this looks. I do like the tone of it. It looks very like pinky, and I don't know if it comes across on camera, but looking at it with my eye right now, I do see a lot of like teal to it also. I also see with this one and the next one, they're not filled entirely to the pan, which doesn't matter to me because I don't tend to go through them, but I think it's worth mentioning. I believe they fill these based on weight, so it just means that like the particles of this like weigh more than the particles of the others, I guess. I don't know. Thought that's worth it to mention. Let's see. Yeah, I can tell that it comes up in flakes when I put my finger into it. I'm scared. Ooh, I kind of like feel the hardness of it already. Huh. Oh, this is weird. I don't know what to say about this one. I feel like I just put like a chainmail hat on my eye. So I guess that was too much. Let me try to like, you know, this finger had nothing on it. Just try to smooth it out. Doesn't that look a little bit too flaky? Ugh, I just don't know. I like the gist of what's going on here. You know, I like the pink. I like that I can see green and yellow and blue in there. I think it looks really cool color-wise, but right now I kind of feel like my suspicions and my fears are being confirmed that it's just going to be a really delicate shadow, a really difficult shadow to work with. Clearly, it is my first time using it, so maybe next time I'll go in with the smallest amount and I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is the way to do it. But right now, I feel like I'm a little scared of it. I feel like if I was doing my eyeshadow, I put on a couple mattes, I'm like trying to get out the door, and I did this, I would like have to wipe it off. And I don't want to set myself up for that kind of situation. But I like the colors of it. But yeah, this is weird. Oh, I just don't know about you. Let me use this little bit that I have left on my finger and try to like smear it out here actually. I guess that is something. But I also feel like if that's the case, if you have to take a little bit and smear it out to like get the flakes to be smaller, then you would be interfering with like any shadows you might have put under it. And I also feel like in those situations, you might get more like lid color showing through. And I want my shimmers to be like full pigment on top. Like this doesn't look like enough to me. Can I pick more up off here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's just going to be like a learning curve and it's going to click, but right now like this feels like too much and this feels like not enough, so I don't know. So the final one I have is Winter Sun, and although this does look really intense in the pan, and I know from looking at the swatches it's going to be very flaky also, it doesn't look quite as intensely flaky in the pan as Pistol Star did. So maybe I'll have a little bit better luck with it. It looks really pretty though. It looks like really pinkish. There were a couple that look kind of similar, but I think, was it like Eris? I think that one looked a little bit more like red or orange, and this one looked a little bit more pink in comparison, so I went with this one. But I mean, after my experience with Pistol Star, I'm happy I didn't buy more than 2 of these like more expensive ones. So this one I'm trying to like go in delicately with also. It doesn't feel quite as much of an explosion as Pistol Star did, but I think you can see it looks flaky. Oh, I feel like it's spreading a little bit better. Yeah, okay. I don't know if I just went in with this one more delicately than I went in with Pistol Star, but I think this is creating a look that like I could work with. I wouldn't have to wipe it off if I was like trying to do my makeup and get out the door. Yeah, I am smearing it down a little bit more than usual. I think you can see the flakiness in it, kind of like the scales, which isn't my favorite, but it's doable. And it does look pretty. You could see the pink You can see the yellow. I don't think it has any kind of like intense base to it. I kind of wish it did. It looks a little bit like Sublunar to me actually, but just a little bit more pink, a little less iridescent. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not thrilled with this one, but I think the formula feels a little bit easier than Pistol Star, but I think the color of Pistol Star looks more interesting to me, so I'm a little torn. I'm gonna wipe this off, and I'm going to do a look using like one of these probably, maybe two, I don't know. I'm scared. But I'll be back with my look on. We'll rank these, we'll talk some final thoughts. Okay. Okay, this is my finished look and I like it. On my eyes, I used Enceladus for the inner half of it, and then I used Milky Way for the outer half. And at first I was a little bit nervous that they wouldn't go together. But I feel like they do go together rather seamlessly. And I like it. Ooh, look at that out of focus shimmer. I'm into it. For my inner corner, I used Mermaid Scales from Glaminatrix. I actually just filmed my random palette selection for April, which I'm in the process of editing, but I bet at this rate, this video is probably going to go up first. But yeah, and then I used some various mattes from my randomly selected palettes as well, and I'm into it. I really like how the look turned out. Okay, let's get into ranking these. As always, my first impressions, subject to change, but I just want to rank them on what I'm most excited about based on the eye swatches you just saw, and you can use the eye swatch data to retrieve different conclusions from them, but these are my initial conclusions. So I'm going to start with my favorite, and my favorite is Halleys Comet. I would have used this if I was wearing a different shirt today, but I wanted to do something a little bit more neutral-ish with my brownish shirt, but tomorrow this is going on my eyes. I just really like this shadow. It's so up my alley, and it's interesting that I don't have anything similar because it seems so simple, but like I just don't have it. And it's done so well, and it's the cheaper price point, which, you know, I'm willing to pay more money for really good shadows, but definitely hats off when they can make a really good shadow for, you know, less expensive. So I'm really excited about this one. Number 2 is going to be Enceladus. I don't even know if I'm saying this right. I'm resisting the urge to say enchiladas because that's not what it's called, but that's what my brain wants to do. I really love how it looks on my inner half of my lid. It looks so sparkly and pretty, and it is unique to my collection. I was nervous that it was going to be a little bit more dull, and I don't tend to reach for shadows that are more dull, but I feel like it comes up very bright, kind of like a moody mint, and I'm into that. And number 3, I'm going to give to Milky Way. As I was saying before, I don't think this is going to be an everyday shade for me, but it's definitely a shade that I'm going to, like, remember. I'm going to know what it is because it's so unique in my collection, and I think it performs very well. I think it looks really good on my outer half, and I think that it could be my go-to deepening shimmer when I want something that leans a little bit more cool. But also, if I wanted to smear it all over my eyes, if I ever am in the mood for a more deep, intense look, this would look so pretty all over my eyes also. So we're on to the bottom 3, and this is where it gets a little bit more tricky and a little bit more subjective. I think my next choice might surprise you. Because I think of the 3, I think I'm going to give number 4 to Pistol Star. This is the one that looked like a helmet on my eye. This is the one that was way too foily for me to just like go into. But of the 3 remaining, it is the one that I'm most excited about, and I want to learn how to use it in a way that works for me. I still have hope. I don't know if my hope will come true or if my hope will die, but I mentioned Sublunar before. That's a shadow that when I first used, I was like, no, this is too flaky, I hate this. And then I kind of got into it. Then I kind of like realized the right amount to use, how to use it over my eye, and I appreciate it. So I'm hoping this happens with this shadow also. Because those colors, it looks so pretty. And even just smoothing it in a swatch, it felt soft, but I guess you can see like where the flakes separate, and I feel like you can see my skin poking through. But the color of it is so pretty, and I want it to be a favorite. I want to learn how to use it, and I want it to be my number one from this collection. Number 5 for my ranking, I'm going to give to Winter Sun. This one I was able to get a decent eye swatch on. I'm a little bit less sold on the color right now because it just seems very sheer. And I think in this swatch too, it's just going to look really, really kind of flaky. So I have less hope for this one because it's still not like an easy to wear shadow. It's just like, of the 2 harder to wear shadows, it's easier, but the color looks so much less unique and I'm not excited. And then for my least favorite from this collection, based on first impressions, I'm going to give that to Pollux, the yellow. The texture of this didn't really impress me. The color of it, I'm a little unsure about. As I was saying, I love doing neutral looks with yellow. I love using a yellow kind of in place of like a bronze or in place of like a champagne. But I don't know. I don't know if this shadow packs enough punch for me to be the standout shade in a look like that. I feel like if I was going to do a look like that, I would rather do mattes that lean yellow and then just go in with like an amazing gold or amazing bronze, something like Corrosion from Clionadh or Gamma Ray from Terra Moons. You know, time will tell how I enjoy using it. I will eventually do a look with it and see how that makes me feel, but first impression, not excited about that. Here's the 6 that I got. 4 that I am excited about. 2 that are, you know, a little bit lower in my heart. I did pull out a couple comparisons that I'll show you. I don't know if any of them are going to be like spot on, but I know I mentioned them while I was eye swatching, so I just wanted to be thorough and compare them. So I pulled out Licorice Lace from Looxi, which I really did like from their recent collection, mostly because of the color of it. I think Halleys Comet is kind of like the idea, but better. So there is Licorice Lace. Licorice Lace is a $3 shadow, so like less than half the price of the $8.50 Terra Moons shadow, but I don't know, I still think that $8.50 for this is a better deal than $3 for this. I do like Licorice Lace, but I like Halleys Comet more. I think it just packs more of a punch, but you know, if you want the shade with less of a punch, this one is great. I pulled out 2 to talk about with Enceladus. The first one is Shattered Stars from Terra Moons, which, as I mentioned, I think it is a similar color, but this formula is just way more like pressed down. It does tend to have like a nice shiny look on the eye, but I prefer things that are like a little bit more textured. Yeah, I think the purple base of that is shining through more, but I think it is really similar. Like the tone of that green in there, and this does have the purple base also, but I think it has more shine in it. Yeah, I would say if you're interested in Shattered Stars, but the finish of it has been throwing you off, Enceladus is similar. Cool. And then the other one I grabbed out to talk about with Enceladus is Earthshine from Divina. This is my favorite of the moonscape shadows that they have. I love this. It doesn't have a flip to it, but it's like a really high shine metallic, really pretty. Yeah, and I think you can tell there, it is a similar idea, but I think that them next to each other makes Earthshine look more neutral, but Earthshine next to the other moonscapes, it really does look like a color. So that's interesting. I really like those, but yeah, for different reasons. I pulled out Sublunar to compare next to Winter Sun. Very flaky shadow. This one's definitely more of an iridescent, but even touching it now, I'm like, it does feel like it's smoother than these other ones. Yeah, I think it does look really similar in the swatch. Definitely more orange in Sublunar, but I feel like the difference between the orange of Sublunar and the pink of Winter Sun does look pretty minimal, so that's interesting. I think those shadows are priced the same at $17.95, but I think I would recommend Sublunar over Winter Sun, especially because Sublunar, being more of an iridescent, you can definitely see another color through it. So if you put down a pink base, you can put this over and make it a pink base with this kind of flip. I think Winter Sun, it's at least supposed to have a little bit more of a base. I think you can see a little bit more depth to it, so it would kind of alter it if you layered it. And then finally for Pollux, I grabbed out Clionadh Throne, which is a shadow that I'm not very excited about because it just doesn't have that much shine to it, but it is a similar kind of like yellow with like orange or red shimmer to it. Yeah, I'd say the Terra Moons one is a little bit more shiny. This one does look a little bit more like a satin there, but they are a very similar idea. So yeah, that wraps up this video. That's going to be everything for today. If you picked up anything from this launch, I would love to know what you ordered. If you got it already, I would love to know if you love it, if you've had the same experiences with the really flaky ones as I did, or what, if you have any tips and tricks to make them a little bit more usable. I would be curious. But yeah, that's gonna be everything. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It really means a lot to me, and there's always way more indie makeup content coming on my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.